Hello Facebook and hello Instagram. I'm Marianne Settembrino. I'm a nationally certified acupuncturist and I'm also a certified specialist of wine through the National Society of Wine Educators. And I'm here tonight to tell you the sobering truth about alcohol and spirits. First, I'm going to tell you why you need to know this, what it is you need to know, and how you can implement it. So, the reason why you need to know this is, in spite of a lot of trendy little news articles and things, alcohol is not a health food. Every once in a while, something comes out in the media about how it lowers your cholesterol, or it's good for this, it's good for that. Alcohol causes way more damage to people's health than it does help them. But I know you guys, and I know many of you do enjoy to have a drink. So we're going to go over some of the things that you need to know in order to be a better advocate for your own health. So one of the things you need to know is that in our country, we have the Food and Drug Administration. So when you buy food, you see an ingredients label and it lists everything that's in that food from the largest concentration down to the lowest concentration. When you buy a bottle of alcohol, you'll see the percentage of alcohol, but they don't tell you what else is in there. So the government agency that's in charge of alcohol is actually the Fire, Tobacco, and Explosives Department of our government. So they're not exactly the go-to people when it comes to health. So there really isn't an agency that's looking out for our safety like there is with food and with other items. So you have to really do your own research and you have to really advocate for yourself when it comes to choosing what alcohol you drink and how you drink it. So we all kind of know that alcohol affects the liver. That is something that is an extreme situation when people drink to the point of destroying their liver. They get a disease called sclerosis. The liver gets hard, stops working. The liver is the main filter for the body. The kidneys are also involved in the filtration process. So alcohol clearly gives a hit to both of those organs. There's some other things that are not quite as known. For example, there will be an insulin spike. Alcohol is just sugar. So anyone that has any issues with their metabolism from wanting to lose weight, or people that have diabetes or pre-diabetes are also really at risk for having a lot of fluctuations in their metabolism and blood sugar when they consume alcohol. People that have any problems with circulation, alcohol actually damages mostly the microcirculation. So people that have problems with their small vessels, people that have neuropathy, not a good idea for you guys. People that have any kind of digestive issue, we're learning more and more about the importance of what they refer to as the microbiome. I've heard it described that we actually have a second brain now in our gut. And that, for example, a lot of the serotonin, which is kind of one of our feel-good neurotransmitters, most of that they found is produced in the gut. So drinking alcohol, you might not feel it right away, but the next day or two, you might have struggles with your mood. And again, if you're somebody that already is having struggles and challenges with your mood, then you need to be very mindful about your alcohol consumption. The other number one thing alcohol does is it affects our judgment. So it can be anything from like sending a text or a Facebook post that you might regret to making decisions, choices, and behaving in ways that could have some significant consequences for us. The other thing that we need to combat with alcohol is dehydration. That's one that some people are familiar with. So one of the things that you can do if you know you are going to drink is you need to achieve maximum hydration prior to drinking. What we recommend is take your weight, divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water you should drink prior to going out to a bar or to a party or any place where you're going to be consuming alcohol. One of the ways we can measure this is, with the exception of taking B vitamins, your urine should be clear. If your urine's dark colored, you're dehydrated, you have no business going near alcohol. It's going to make it quite worse, and you have the potential to do some damage to your body. So making sure you have ideal hydration is really important. That also is a key factor in minimizing or eliminating the possibility of getting a hangover. Hangovers, first level of a hangover is dehydration. The second level is its toxins that the body's trying to clear. So making sure that you also are doing everything to maintain optimum health, making sure you're exercising 3 to 5 times a week, making sure you are eating properly, avoiding sugar, avoiding starchy carbohydrates, things that cause an insulin spike. Because again, if you're going to consume alcohol, alcohol is a sugar and it's going to create that insulin spike. So you want to give your body the best possible advantage. Going back to the microbiome thing again, you want to make sure that you're taking a probiotic and that you're taking really good care of your gut, and that following your ingestion of alcohol, you need to go back and repair, because your microbiome is going to suffer from the alcohol. It is going to kill all that wonderful good bacteria that you have going on. Some folks actually may have a flare of something called candida. So candida is a fungus that lives in the gut, and everybody has it, but most people have it at a very low level and their immune system keeps it in check. Alcohol could absolutely flip that balance in the other direction, and you could get an overgrowth of candida. So we have a lot of products and support at our office for correcting microbiome imbalances. Everybody who drinks should be taking something to correct the microbiome. So some of the things you can do was, we talked about the hydration. The other thing is to get really educated about alcohol. We are finding more and more people are having reactions to grains. So unfortunately, that means all the grain-based spirits and beverages are now suspect. So I would steer people more towards beverages that are non-grain based. So what that means specifically is we need to look at stuff that's clear. So the brown liquor is out because that is pretty much exclusively grain based. So we need to look at clear rums, clear pure tequilas, and vodkas. So the vodkas, we've gotten into these very high-end designer vodkas. Most of them, unfortunately, are made from grain. So we have to say bye-bye to Grey Goose and Belvedere. Those are both made from grain, and we need to focus on vodkas that are gluten-free. So that's the other word to look for. If it's gluten-free, that should mean it does not have grain in it. So that's a better way to go. And the old-fashioned vodkas that are made from potato are a much better choice. Tequila that is not Cuervo. The bars in our country that mostly just use Cuervo for your margaritas, it is not pure tequila. Remember before how I was saying that there isn't labeling laws to protect us? Well, that bottle of Cuervo, the gold one, has got all kinds of artificial colors in it that it's not supposed to be gold. And the clear one and the base for the gold one, before they color it, we don't know what's in it. It is not 100% tequila. They are using a percentage of tequila and the rest is all filler. So it's anybody's guess what else is in there. So a lot of times when people don't feel well after they've had a drink or two, it may be the quality of the spirits. It could also be what the spirits are being mixed with. So another sobering truth is you need to pick one, just one, and stick with that one for that evening or event. So none of this having a beer and then having wine and then having cocktails, or having cocktails and then switching to beer. It's not good. You're challenging your body way too much. So if health were money, we're kind of all born with a bank account. And some of us are born with a bank account that has a lot in it, and some of us are born with a bank account that's close to empty, depending upon the genetic material that we're inheriting when we're born. So every time we indulge in certain behaviors like drinking, we're spending money. So some of us have more money to spend than others. So it's really important, if you're going to be spending this health dollars by drinking, that you're going to be putting it back in. So that means exercising, taking things that drive the toxins out of the body, correcting the microbiome again, and making sure you can get the purest, highest quality type of alcohol. So this is not a time to be cheap. I know a lot of my friends spend a ton of money at Whole Foods, but then we'll go out and I'll watch what they order at the bar, and it's rubbish. So it's important that you try to get the highest quality. So again, with the vodka, look for the potato vodkas. There are gluten-free vodkas. I find most of them that advertise gluten-free are made from corn. Corn is also a little bit problematic for some people that have more of the blood sugar issues. We're going to have more of a problem with a corn-based vodka. Definitely want to go more towards the potato vodka for them. And when it comes to wine, there is such a huge variation in types of wine. And unfortunately, most of the wine that you recognize is usually a bulk produced wine, so it's going to be low quality. And again, we don't have that labeling law. Lots of these wines have a ton of chemicals in them. They have sugar in them. They have artificial colors in them, things that most of our patients would not normally consume when they're going out and they're just ordering that glass of wine and not asking questions, not asking to see the bottle. They're exposing themselves to ingesting a lot of unnecessary things and a lot of chemicals and things that they would not, under any other circumstance, probably put in their body. So with the holidays coming up, I wanted to give you that information and let you know that there are choices you have when you go out to drink. First of all, whether to drink or not drink at all. That's one choice. We're kind of all in our country, I think we're still getting over the fact that we had prohibition, and we're still kind of, like a kid in a candy store when it comes to alcohol. But you absolutely can go out, have a fabulous time without drinking. One of the things you can get at most well-stocked bars, I'll show you. This is a really old product called Angostura Bitters. You can actually get this in the supermarket. And even though it does have a little bit of alcohol in it, you can ask the bartender to give you a club soda with bitters, and it will turn the club soda like a pale brown color. So the other thing is, if you're at a party where you don't want to look like the only person that's not drinking, you can order one of these. It looks just like a cocktail, and guess what? This is actually good for you. Bitters help the digestion. Bitters help the liver. Bitter is a flavor that we tend to avoid. Got any arugula lovers out there? Those are my friends that actually like the bitter. So Angostura Bitters, I think it's originally used in a cocktail called an old fashioned. Don't recommend drinking the old fashioned, but do recommend asking the bartenders to give you Angostura Bitters and club soda. The other thing is it's about the mixers too. So even if you are ordering a really nice choice for your spirit, a nice potato vodka, if you are ordering it in a cocktail that's going to involve sour mix, you need to stop and ask, do they make their own sour mix? The sour mix very often, again, it's like stuff you would never normally drink. Yellow dye, sugar, sodium benzenate, all kinds of crazy chemicals that you wouldn't normally drink. And I think that most of the hangover that people feel, it's the dehydration, or a lot of times it's the chemicals and the dyes and everything that your body just isn't used to in other circumstances. So find out if they have fruit juice, if the fruit juice is sweetened. Do they make their own sour mix? Can you just get your drink with a squeeze of lime in it? Could you get it with some lime and Angostura bitters. Basically you want to keep it super, super, super simple. The other thing now is we all have Lyft and Uber. There is no excuse for anybody getting behind the wheel after they've been drinking. And the other thing I want to put out there, you guys are grown-ups, you're going to do what you want, but please consider when you are outside of your home, if you're in a public place or an unfamiliar surrounding, make the commitment to only have 2 servings. So whatever it is you're drinking, 2 servings, then you're done. You're on water or you're on Angostura bitters and club the rest of the night. First of all, you're going to feel okay in the morning. Second of all, you're not going to be doing something foolish that you're going to regret. So 2 drinks. I actually heard of this from, it was a reality show called A Millionaire Matchmaker. So this woman sends women on dates with millionaires, and that was one of her rules, that she would not set a woman on a date unless the woman absolutely agreed no more than 2 drinks. Nothing good comes after that second one. That's usually, it's all downhill after that. That's when that part of the brain, that sense of judgment, is just so altered after the second one. So the third one is the one that seems to really put everybody over the edge. The other thing about that was also too, having the whole designated driver thing. That's a fabulous idea as well. And remember about your phone too, that if you're drinking, not a great time to finally get up the nerve to send that text message to somebody. So keep it to 2, and then you'll have very few regrets the next day. So let me see, what else can I say about what to drink? Did I miss anything? Do you have any questions?
No questions yet.
No questions yet. Okay, Facebook and Instagram. If you guys are local, if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, I also wanted to let you know that we live in a control state, which means the state controls our access to wine and liquor. So you're really not going to get too much help from the people that work in the stores. There's an exception here or there. We actually have access to really great wine. There's a company they have a shop in Pennsauken. They have a shop in Wilmington, Delaware. It's called Moore Brothers, and I've been a customer of theirs for about 25 years. If you're a wine drinker and you live in the area, that is the place to go. That place, you can get a high quality bottle of wine for a low amount of money. So I'll give you an example of why that's important. A very popular wine, Chardonnay, white wine, is often known for its oaky kind of flavor. So an oak barrel costs over $1,600. So with the price of an oak barrel being that high, many of the lower price Chardonnays are actually adding oak flavor, or they're using a vat and then stirring oak chips into the vat. So if you drink Chardonnay, you should not be spending less than $20 a bottle, just because chances are if it's less than $20, it's going to be made with one of those shortcuts, which can be toxic. So go to Moore Brothers and tell them what you eat, and they will recommend wines to drink with what you eat, or tell them what your budget is, and they will recommend wines for you. Their focus there is on education, and they only sell 300 wines. When you walk into a store and you see 3,000 wines, you should know that they're catering to everybody, and that there's going to be a lot of wines in there that are of an inferior quality. So that's it for me. Please send your questions. Oh, we have a question?
We have a question.
Oh.
So, Tazwoman 1983 says, are organic grapes best for wine?
Organic grapes are a better choice for wine than grapes that are conventionally grown. And what happens after them is also important, because there's an aspect of winemaking. We call it winemaker intervention. So it depends on how much intervention the winemaker is comfortable with or needs to do. So starting out with organic grapes is a fabulous choice. However, in Pennsylvania, I've been a little underwhelmed by the organic wines that they make available to us. When you go outside of the wines that are available to us and get your wines from other sources, the field opens up. There's a lot more choices. There's a lot of places in Europe that would never dream of treating their grapes with chemicals or putting chemicals in their wines. What I like to focus on is very small productions, a lot of farmer producers. That's actually what Moore Brothers specializes in. I have a link, if you want it, you can do a Facebook messenger thing to me, and I'll send you a link so you can have some really pure, organic, chemical-free, no added sugar, paleo-friendly, vegan wines sent to your home. So if that's really important to you, send me a Facebook Messenger thing and I'll send you the link so you can order those wines. We did have a change in the law in Pennsylvania. We are now permitted to have wineries ship directly to us. So if you're serious about wine, or if you drink wine on any kind of regular basis, I highly recommend that you either go to Moore Brothers and buy it, or that you use this link and have the wine shipped to you, because you are going to get much, much more bang for your buck than if you're just walking into the state store and just not knowing anything and just pulling a bottle off the shelf because it's got a pretty label. You're subjecting yourself again to a lot of additives and chemicals. The other thing about the alcohol that we know is that we do know that it is not good for the brain. And maybe in post we can put up pictures of people's brains that have overdone it with the alcohol, and you can see pictures of it. It's quite shocking to see what a brain looks like when somebody has been consuming lots of alcohol for a long period of time. So the chemicals are also something that could be giving a negative effect to the brain.
So Susan's on a mission has a question. How about French Beaujolais? And this is from Instagram. Are there different qualities?
Yes, there are. So in Beaujolais, there are some Grand Crus, and Grand Cru means that that particular area has a reputation for producing really high quality Beaujolais, and Beaujolais is awesome this time of year. It is a wine that's meant to be consumed right away, so it's very fun, it's a very young wine, and some of the places to look for on the Beaujolais label are Morgon, Fleuret, can't think of the other ones. But if you Google the Grand Crus of Beaujolais, you will see the names of them. Those are 2 out of, I want to say there's a total of 8 of them. So I would look for a Beaujolais from one of those regions, and you're going to be getting a nice high quality Beaujolais. And thank you for drinking Beaujolais. Beaujolais needs more love, so thank you.
Another question on Facebook. What is biodynamic wine?
That's a great question. I love biodynamic wine. I'm so glad you asked that. So biodynamics is a system for not just creating wine, but for taking care of the earth. It was from the philosopher Rudolf Steiner, who was also the grandfather of the Waldorf movement. That's a philosophy for raising children. So he came up with this theory of biodynamics, which starts out with the organic farming of grapes, but it does it in this kind of holistic thing where the grapes are grown, but they also are producing food on that same farm, and there'll be animals that live on that farm, as opposed to when you start visiting wineries, you'll see that that is the exception, not the rule. So he believed that all of that has to occur on the same ground to make the perfect ecosphere, the perfect bioterrain. And then there is a calendar that's followed that's based on the phases of the moon, and they use very natural substances. Depending on which phase the moon is in, certain items will be buried in the vineyard. One of the famous ones is they will take a cow horn, they will put certain minerals in the cow horn and bury the cow horn in the vineyard on a very specific time according to the lunar calendar. And I have tasted many, many biodynamic wines, and there is something about them that is so magical and special. And because of all of the attention that's being paid to all of these subtle things, the quality of them is very high. And again, they're not going to be throwing chemicals and colors and sugars and all that into the wines. So they're going to be a pure, high quality wine.
The only other thing that I could think of was for hangover cure. Is there something
Hangover cure. Great question. So I have Chinese herbs. They're available at my office. And another formula that actually pulls the toxins out. You take them before you go to bed. So after you've consumed your alcohol, I even take them if I'm traveling and I'm eating food that's like unusual for me. So what they do is one of them pulls all the toxins to it, and then you just eliminate it out in the morning through your intestines. The other one actually kind of calms down the GI tract and balances the GI tract again. So again, if you want to Facebook message me, I'll give you the info on how to get those from us. The other thing that you can get, let me see if I have this here. Coconut water. I'm not really attached to this brand. Any coconut water you can get your hands on. Of course, if you can find organic coconut water, go with that. Coconut water has a lot of wonderful things to offer us. The best thing, though, about it after drinking is it's going to deliver hydration in a very small volume. So you're going to get hydrated quicker without flooding your stomach, because if you're hungover to the point where your stomach is off, then you're going to not want to put a ton of water in your stomach. Water is a emetic, which means it can trigger nausea, it can make you throw up. So you want to get the hydration into your body without flooding your stomach with too much water. The time to do that, all the water, is before you drink. Coconut water is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It puts back the electrolytes, because that's the other thing that happens with alcohol, is it's going to mess up your electrolyte balance. And the electrolytes are kind of like the electrical system that support many of the activities of the body. So coconut water has got a lot of bioavailable potassium in it, and it helps you feel better really fast without, again, kind of that bloated feeling that you can get from drinking a ton of water. So coconut water is a must.
No other questions?
That's great. Well, thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Facebook. And Joey, how about we go get a drink?
Sounds good.
Bye.